Welcome back to the channel. I'm Paul70stastic, and in today's video I'll be discussing the wheelcam. So you might be wondering, what is the wheelcam? Well, it's this. Just have a quick disconnect mount on a camera mount, and it's just bolted to the subframe of my car. And this part is actually a quick disconnect. I can just pop it off and install it on any vehicle I want. And this fits my Duster and my Mustang. I did also design ones that fit on the truck and the Mercury, but since they have different frame designs, I have one design that stays on both of those. This one I can quick detach, that way if I go to a car show, it doesn't stick out and cause questions. Now, filming rigs like this are actually used in Hollywood productions. I don't know how they actually mount them on cars, so I had to design my own system from scratch. It starts with a stub that's bolted onto the subframe, and then this part that tabs onto it and has these bicycle bolts that go through and clamp down. It is rock solid, doesn't have any vibration, but it does allow the camera mount to break off and just basically just pop right off if I impact something, so it doesn't damage the car. Now, one of my design criteria was that the camera had to be easily removed while seated in a vehicle. And yeah, it is. I've driven for well over a year with the cameras on my vehicles, and I drove in pretty much all the weather conditions you could. Middle of summer, going through winter, through spring, back through summer again, and yeah, it went pretty well. I got inspired to do the wheelcam from the Driver 3 video game from 2004. I used to love to play that game, and one of the cinematic angles in that game is actually the wheelcam that I use today. And they borrowed it from Miami Vice, which inspired that game quite a bit. That might seem kind of weird to put a camera at your wheel well, but I have a history of placing cameras in weird places on vehicles just because why not? So for me, it was just all fun and game. And I learned actually kind of some interesting things while I did this too. Probably the most surprising thing that I learned from doing this was that no one notices. You'd think a camera sticking out of the side of the car would be pretty easy to see, and I was kind of sheepish when I first started it because I was concerned everyone would be staring at me and thinking I'm weird. I'm weird. I saw just a handful of people actually, raise their eyebrows and saw, hey, there's a camera there. And most of the time they were already looking at the car anyway because it doesn't look like anything else you'd see on the road. So to me, that was a huge surprise. I expected people to be looking at it, and I was kind of embarrassed and sheepish to do that. Another surprising thing I learned is that nothing actually happened to the cameras. I had first started using some of my oldest cameras because I was concerned that they'd get damaged, but nothing really happened to them. I'm not a person for brushing into curbs anyway, so I figured I'd be okay there, but I was concerned I'd hit something or road debris. And yeah, the cameras survived just fine. I didn't even lose a lens up until I kind of abused one of the cameras by going out to a gravel road and reefing on the brakes just to see what would happen. Oops. I'd already been driving for a year without breaking a lens, so I figured the camera would be just fine. It still works, I just had to replace the lens. Now, since none of my cameras got damaged, I went ahead and made a completely custom mount for my camera. It ends up with a front and rear facing camera at the same time, and the camera is actually set so it sees below the center line of the mount. So you can actually see underneath the vehicle, which is really cool. Now, Another interesting side note I learned is that the cameras actually didn't get overheated. I figured they would get cooked by the hot asphalt or from the fact they're sitting in the direct sun, but I guess the airflow over them is enough. They act as an air-cooled camera. And the cameras would actually get cool while you used them. Another interesting thing I learned is just how much your suspension actually moves on your vehicle. I never really thought, even on a smooth road, that your suspension would be moving like it is, but now your suspension really does a workout. I'm going to have to really step up my ball joint greasing game. One thing I did learn that's kind of interesting is, as a dash cam view, having a camera this low really isn't all that useful. Even though the camera angle does look cool and I love the shots it gives, when it comes to like lane barriers and stuff, the camera's too close to the ground to really see all that. So it's hard to have a frame of reference for where other vehicles are in the video. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Dang it.
This is my hiding spot, and I'm not moving until the situation is drastically improved. Raymond, you fool! Ah! I've got to get out of here! I can't hold on much longer. Rescued at last. How interesting. Just look at that. A failure of this magnitude is extremely improbable.